back from the Next Issue podcast with some amazing guests. It was really nice to get a very small private reaction to the video from you guys. I will say Bob very active during that.
But you could actually see me doing all that garbage.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Don't worry. Only I can.
Okay, great.
That was sweet. That was really fun.
Yeah, thanks for putting that together, man. I've always wanted an epic trailer set to that specific song. What is that from? Because that used to be in like all the
a dream.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it used to
right.
be in all the like early 2000s like epic trailers.
And
that's fucking
cool.
incredible.
It's not if you've seen the film after reading you guys' book, it's not the exact vibe, but it's a very similar vibe. Like like the way I felt after finishing. If you know the movie, and you know, we won't get too much into any spoilers or anything, but it left me in a place where I was like, all right, give me a second. I need to take a walk.
Well, I mean, certainly with those preview pages that we put out, they're kind of like a little teaser trailer on their own. I think it fits. I think that was sweet.
It is incredible how much like Bob, from just a few panels, how much action you are actually putting out there. Because this was what, like 5 pages tops, I think that's what the preview, 5 or 6 pages. And like that. Just I love the panel of she's reaching out into the room. It is very, very exciting. We got a few people in the chat. Let me just say hi real quick. Ryan Michael in the chat.
Hey,
there it is.
Andrew Sweet. Happy belated birthday, Andrew. I think just I believe it was yesterday. Andy. If I remember correctly from the conversation. Matt, Nick, welcome everybody. If you have any questions for our creators, please drop them in the chat. We'll address them as we go. But I do want to ask, first of all, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Always doing good.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, excellent. I was saying to you a little bit, when we were doing our little pre-show, Danny, we've had the pleasure of knowing each other through the KLC streams for a while now, literally a couple of years. I guess time flies, man. And I know we've been teasing it for a long time, and you've been saying that we're gonna get on here and talk about it, and so we're finally here, and I'm so happy to be chatting about it with you, man. I'm so happy you've been able to read it.
Me too. Very excited. So I want to first ask, like, how did, and you probably answered this question many times, but please feel free to do it again.
But there's all kinds of new people that want to hear the answer, and they're all right here right now. So let's answer.
The masses are ready to listen.
Yes.
How did this book come about? Like, how did you guys all get together? Like, Ethan, Griffin, did you guys have this book like in the back of your heads already? Like, just tell me a little bit about how the conception of Project 8 that evolved into Kill Your Darlings.
Yeah, I mean, I can kick off with that a little bit because Griffin and I, obviously, we've been friends for a million years and have worked on podcasts that were comics related for a million years, and several years ago, got to work with Ryan Stegman through podcasting, and once that kind of got going, it was sort of a moment of like, oh man, like us sort of like looking at each other and being like, oh shit, is it possible that this could lead down a road of, getting to make a book ourselves? And it took a while before anything eventuated, and there were some false starts of like us trying to get an ash can together and whatever. Like, there were a lot of different directions we could have gone. This actual idea ended up coming from the initial germ of it I had when I during height of the pandemic, being a frontline worker and everything, and it was just something that just popped into my head. The imagery that is a lot of the stuff that you see in the teaser pages, that was where it kind of started, and I brought that to Griffin. We've done a lot of just bringing each other like little nuggets of ideas without developing them too much on our own, because we knew we wanted to make stuff together. And so just sort of us having these initial concepts and coming to each other and being like, is this anything? What do we think about this? And I had these crayon pages. I had, the cave with the hands and stuff. And I was like, what is this? Is this a book? And the more we talked about it, the more we got excited about what it could all mean, where it could all go. And that started us on a big artist hunt, and from there I could kind of throw to Griffin a little bit, so I'm not talking the entire time.
Yeah, as soon as we sort of decided to put all of our creative eggs in this basket, pretty much, we were like, okay, this is the idea that we're gonna full send. And we spent over a year working on a pitch document for it. And when we which had the help of plenty fantastic creators, of course. And then we got in the door and Image said, let's do it. And we were like, okay, great. And then we had to find an artist for the book. And we sent a bunch of emails out. A lot of folks didn't get back to us. And then a few did. And one of them was a very enthusiastic Bob Quinn. And Bob had the most passion about it, I think, from any of the people that we had conversations with. And that was super, super exciting for Ethan and I. And so then we got on the horn with him, and it just immediately sort of became clear that this was going to be the team. And Bob's passion for it, and him sort of expressing that he wanted something to sort of like really stretch his legs on, and that this felt like something that could be up his alley. And we were like, okay, then let's do it. And Bob came on board, and we spent 6 months kind of just having some really general conversations. We did a little bit of designing. And then
just kind of chatting on. It was a lot of Skype calls where I'd be like sharing my screen, and I'd sit around and doodle, or we'd talk about something, and then I would come back and go something like this, and then usually you'd be very, very kind about it and go, yeah, that's good, let's do that. And then eventually scripts started coming in, and then pages started coming in, and now we're like over halfway done with it, and it'll probably be really close to done by the time the first issue comes out. So there you go.
It's a multi-layered thing when you're working on something that's going to come out through a place like Image, where you have the full control of it, because when you're putting a team together, and when some people like us start working with somebody like Bob, who like we didn't know him yet, but we're saying, let's build this thing together from scratch. It has to be a thing of like, okay, so you have to be pretty invested in what we're throwing at you, which he was, and then what you also have, we also just have to have a great dynamic, because we're talking about investing in something where we're going to have to be talking pretty much every day, and we're going to have to be in constant communication, and not get sick of each other, and not be annoyed at all the ideas being thrown around and everything. But Bob has such a wonderful energy, and we really hit it off right away.
Yeah, because you guys work with John a lot more. John J. Hill, who did letters and design, I imagine.
Yes.
So you guys already work with him a lot through the KLC, but working with Bob was a new experience. Was there a hurdle that you guys maybe got to, that like, what was the first hurdle that as collaborators that you try to get over and kind of find the solution and work through?
Well, before we answer that, I'll let Griffin answer that, but I did just want to say you're right. We should mention John J. Hill. He was the last piece of the puzzle, because we dove right into the artist time, but then obviously we needed the design, the lettering, and everything, and John was really the only answer for it. Where it was like, we had been working with him for a while. We knew him to be such a wonderful project manager. We saw all the incredible design stuff he did for Vanish and Crossover and KLC and everything, and so that was just a no-brainer of getting him on board. And he's also been incredible.
Yeah, John's fantastic. I was telling you guys backstage, I'm sorry I chopped up your design for the thumbnail of the video. I don't have the design skills. I only use Canva to make my stuff. So
ain't nothing wrong with that. He when we came to, like, specifically, just real quick, giving just a little bit more praise to him, because it is just so good. We love the covers so much, and the cover for issue 1 is so good. And so when we were all sitting down and talking about what's something that we like in a cover, what sort of thing do we want to see from it, and not just the cover, but the logo and everything as well. And it came down to us sort of saying, like, well, we want like a color block sort of thing, because that sort of thing stands out to me and Ethan, I think, on a shelf, but also not just straight color block. We want to do something kind of interesting with it. And it was pretty much down to John and Bob, who John was like, what if we did, there she is, what if we did a full wraparound
Mm-hmm.
for every issue, and basically when Bob's doing the covers, what if he did a landscape piece that can turn into a wraparound cover every time, and he structured this incredible logo in the trade dress just so perfectly over here as the way that it like sort of staggers and falls across the entire cover. It's just so big and catches your eye so immediately.
It's genius, because it's so bold. Like I haven't seen anything quite like it.
One thing that immediately jumped out at me was just the quote, like, "Here, good soldiers have fallen at a desperate hour."
It is.
It tells you so much, but then it doesn't tell you anything about the book either. Like, it's kind of like it's a great tease. Like, just like you want to open this thing to figure out what
something bad is happening.
True.
You better read it to find out. You're probably missing something important.
And there's going to be a quote on the back cover of each one, and I do really like, that they don't tell you much. They give you something, and they tend to mean more than one thing as well, which is something that really excites me. Yeah.
Well, we quickly realized that we could use everything on the back cover. A cover is essentially, trying to create interest enough in somebody that they pick it up even if they don't know what it is. And so obviously the front covers all do that, I think, but then we realized we could also use everything on the back covers to create even more interest. And so you'll see as more and more covers come out, we sort of started playing with the back cover a little bit more and adding more teasery details, and yes, the quotes continue to sort of stay a little vague, or maybe they have a double meaning. It's all really good.
We'll look at that second cover in a minute, don't you?
Oh yes, today, just today,
we
got to pull the curtain back on the issue 2 covers. It's all really great.
Very exciting.
Okay, we were talking about hurdles.
I don't know. I think we've disagreed on one thing, and then we solved it.
And then we compromised. Yeah, no, we did have a as a collective team, we have maybe ran into one, and it was quite recently. And we had a conversation about it, and then we got to a point where everybody was happy with it. It really it has been really smooth sailing in terms of the entire creative team. Ethan and I did have to spend a few months figuring out what our process was as co-writers. That's probably where the biggest hurdles were.
I would say certainly. Yeah. Well, because we're having to figure out how to write, period, but then we're having to figure out how to write together as well. So it's who are we as creators, but then also who are we as one unified creator together? And it is very complex because we both have very strong feelings. We're both very opinionated. And for a bit, it was like pulling teeth. It was like, why isn't this fun at all? and it took a bit to really get it to click into place.
But now it's super fun, and dare I even say, easier. There was a moment where
than it was.
It's like
it looked a little top of the roller coaster, and then there you go. Like,
dude, it honestly feels that way. It really does. It's so much smoother. Like, we really honestly enjoy each time that we're writing together now. Each time we get on the call and we're working through a Google Doc, it's a joy, and that's really nice. Because this should feel like making something with your friends. It should be a joyful process, and so I'm really glad we took the time to really iron out all the wrinkles. Things are smooth sailing now.
Nice.
Oh yes.
Let's take a look at that number 2 cover real quick.
Yeah, just today,
shit. Guys.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Issue 2.
See, there's so many layers to all this, because if you haven't read anything and you go into seeing both covers, is like one thing. If you read one issue like myself, and then you look at this cover, it's like another thing. And obviously you guys have the big, the whole thing laid out in your head. So then you start looking at these covers. And so tell me a little bit about anything you could tell us about this cover.
It's real creepy, and there's eyeballs all over the place. That's the big
spooky
thing I can tell you about. It's spooky.
It is spooky.
The thing I noticed the most is that it's almost the complete opposite color of the first cover, which was all pink, right? And then we're really completely changing the color palette here.
That was pretty intentional, where you'll see So I hope now that people see the second cover, they get the sort of vibe of what all the covers are, or what we're going to be doing with all the colors or covers. And the book is sort of split down the middle in terms of like tone and genre. And so with the first two covers, I think it was important that we really establish again this like sort of dichotomy that exists at the center of the book, where the first one is it's a very bright cover because it's like white and like hot pink. Of course, the book is not entirely a fun hot pink romp, but then the second cover is black and green and eerie in a way that the first cover isn't, with all the floating eyeballs and everything.
And all the little shadowy figures kind of peeking out.
Yeah.
There's even one behind the door. So
that one's a little bit more metaphysical, if that's the right word for it, than the first one. The covers are going to serve some different purposes. They might be a literal event, or they might be more of the feeling of something that's going on. Awesome. We're really playing around with the format.
That's how you sell a comic, right? That's how you pick up a comic book. You go into a shop and there's like 50 books on the wall for new comics, and like you have to make yours stand out. So I think you guys are doing a fantastic job there.
Oh, thank you.
I want to segue into a question that Aiden, who's also been on the channel, shout out Aiden. He asked, is it an ongoing or a mini? I think you guys talked about being at a halfway point in some respect. And then, I don't know how much you guys know about the second part. I think that's more Vanished Nocturnal related, but like the first part, can we talk about that? Is it an ongoing? Is it a mini? What do you guys have? What's going on with this book?
It's a complete thing. It's going to be a finite thing, but we can't say exactly how long just yet.
Okay.
Us saying that we are halfway through, I think, already sort of gave it away. That it's finite. There will be a certain number of issues. We are not at liberty to say
number of issues.
The exact number of issues.
You're gonna be like, my God,
you want.
No more.
Thank you for ending it here.
You're gonna see how many issues it is. You're gonna be like, that makes sense. I should have known it this whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go back to the chat.
That is worth expanding on just for real quick. It's just like it was always planned as one like definitive thing. Like we really wanted the ending to be like as strong as the start, and so we didn't want it to be a book that has to go on hiatuses or anything like that. So I think people will be really happy with where it ends up.
Which, to answer that second part, as long as like nothing happens in terms of like the industry, like paper shortages, shipping problems, anything like that, there will be no hiatuses. The whole team, Bob especially, has been working his ass off to make sure that issues will be ready every single month.
Consummate professional, absolutely unstoppable,
It's
all
true.
day, every day.
It's
Aiden's taking a guess on the chat. We'll see. We'll come back to it.
There were plenty of Project 8 guesses, and
that's so funny
in the KLC chat. I will say the reason we were calling it Project 8, we can get into it later, but there are multiple reasons why we call it Project 8.
It'll be on the director's cut of the book.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we got another question from Spicer McLeroy, which I think is a really good one. What's the submission process like at Image? Do you need an agent? Can you just email them for a meeting? Like, do you send them a paper plane? Like, how do you throw your script through their window? And I know it's different for everyone, but can you guys tell us a little bit about that?
We can only speak to our own experience, which is, you don't need an agent or anything like that. It is about emailing the right stuff to the right people at the right time. I wouldn't send full scripts. I would send a very curated and crafted pitch document with art and enough information to gauge their interest and more information at your disposal if they ask for it.
I've seen people have misconceptions about how Image works online. Like, people will talk about like Image like editorial and like the creative directions for Image and whatever, but like Image is fully about creators doing what they want to do. So like people bring their books to Image, and Image decides if they want to put people's books out, and they don't, interfere. That's why it's such a great space to be in. So yeah, it's if you've got a great pitch and you've got some great artwork with it, and you get it to the right people under the right conditions, they might find you a spot. It's kind of beautiful. It's very simple. It allows for a lot of creative freedom.
Definitely.
It's great that after so many years around, like Image is still really about the creators and putting the work out there and giving them an outlet. I think other publishers have seen that, this works. Like let's just let the creative people be creative.
Yeah.
And I think that
they very much still follow that original mission statement. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That and get the Levi's out there. But
I'm out here in my Gap jeans. No good.
Right. Now, Bob, I want to talk to you a little bit about, because I've seen your work and a bunch of stuff. Most recently, X-Men stuff. Alligator Loki. We all love Alligator Loki.
Thank you. Yes, me too.
But how did you get into doing comics? Like, what was your entry point?
The short answer is probably about 5 or 6 years. I don't even know how many years it's been. Listen, I'm here at this desk all the time, flat circle. I don't know what year it is right now. So a few years into my video game career, I was getting really tired of it because I'd been through like big companies, small companies, publishers, developers, mobile, online, and I kept waiting for a video game company that wasn't run by complete psychopaths, and I just never found one, right? So it came down to this point where a friend of mine and I had written a graphic novel, and there was somebody who was willing to pay us to actually make it. So I said to my wife, "Hey, wife, do you care if I quit my job that I hate and I try drawing this graphic novel because no one else will do it any good at the price that they're willing to pay?" And she said, "You're miserable all the time. Go ahead." And I said, "Okay, great." So on a total flyer, I quit my job and I drew a graphic novel that nobody read and nobody bought. But I'd made just enough friends along the way that when I came out of the other end of it, emails kind of started coming in saying, "Hey, do you want to work on this thing?" And I had, a 180-page sample saying, "Hey, I know how to do this." And that's pretty much it. That's how I got in, people. Just draw a lot. It's so simple. Just be really great like me. And that's it.
Is it really that hard, folks?
No, I'm giving away the secrets right here on the stream. All right. What do you want to know?
You heard it here first. Be talented and then just do it.
Just do it.
It's not
quit your job, chase your dreams.
Quit your job, chase your dreams. Don't end up destitute because your wife has health insurance. I'll tell you this: I had a couple of doctor's appointments, and we would have been in trouble.
Oh boy!
So whatever you do, just make sure you figure out the health insurance situation. Then you're fine.
That's
really
it's
easy.
Advice. That's really good advice.
That's a topic for a much larger discussion, I think. That's something that should be handled on a KLC stream, so we can get thoughts on that as well. But we have another question from Andrew Sweet, and he asked, "Who came up with the title of the book? How did KYD? How did that come together?"
I don't want to answer Andy's question. He doesn't.
just one for his birthday, and that's it. Since Ethan,
I saw those earlier
did not
message.
say happy birthday to.
I saw that. I didn't know. I'm sorry. Happy birthday.
Ethan can answer.
Happy birthday.
I came up with the title of the book. Griffin and I had a whole bunch of titles. Griffin and I had a whole bunch of titles that we were rattling around, and then Donnie Cates actually gave us a different title.
Heard of him?
Ever heard of him? We were just talking about this in Brian Bendis's writing class that we moderate. Donnie Cates gave us the title Scorned, which we really liked. It just fit perfectly, but at the time, but when we were submitting to Image, they were like, "Hey, your book's going to be coming out alongside The Scorched," and so
I was just thinking, like, that sounds like a Spawn title that's already out there.
Yeah, and so as great as it was, as nice of a fit as it was, we were like, "Shit, back to the drawing board," and it took a while. I mean, the simplest things are sometimes the most nerve-wracking. Like the title is like, sometimes the title will just come to you. Like we have another thing that we're working on that the title was like one of the first things that came to us, and it was like easy peasy. But when you're having to like, when you have to throw out a title and you have to go back to the drawing board and like come up with something that really embodies the whole thing, it's like, oh fuck, like it's really nerve-wracking. But this was a godsend. It really just like popped out of the ether, and like it not only encapsulates the plot but also just a lot of the themes that we were exploring, and yeah, we're really happy with it.
Yeah, when Ethan called me up and was like, I think I've got the title, he said it, and I was like, okay, it's perfect. There's no way that like it hasn't been used. And he was like, no, I've checked over and over again. There's no comic book in existence currently called Kill Your Darlings. There's some storylines, and there are other media.
A volume of Suicide Squad Rebirth that comes up when you look for a book on Midtown Comics. The story arc was called Kill Your Darlings.
Lucky
Yeah,
for
there's movies and books and stuff, but
yeah, lucky
no
for you guys, the movie didn't do very well.
Yeah.
That's all right.
They should rise to the top of the Google search.
Yeah, I hope so.
We got a little bit of a comment from Ryan Michael. The preview gave me Dark Twisted, the never-ending story vibes. Is that just me, or is there something to that? Which I want to add. A lot of marketing pitches are like, is this plus this? Now you guys have the damn it, I just slipped out of my head because I was thinking of the Narnia and Hereditary, which is quite a fucking wild pitch. But,
yeah.
So two things. First, address Ryan Michael's comment. How do you guys feel about that assertion of your book? And then also, like, how did you guys come up with that mix of like Narnia, Hereditary, like for the marketing? I know we talked a little bit about the marketing before the show, Griffin, but let's get into that.
We did come up with Narnia meets Hereditary. Image had a couple of other ideas on what it could be, and we've even kind of like gone back and forth. Like the pitch document has something else. I think I think maybe Narnia was still in there, but no, we came up with Narnia meets Hereditary, and that is just like a mix that like when we put those things together, like we've been saying this, we don't love a this meets that to just like specifically describe it, but it is the easiest way for people to get the idea of it across. And
if you're gonna have one, that one's pretty apt.
and so it's super easy. It was easy for us because we were like, okay, well, we have a horror fantasy book. What is this flavor of fantasy we're going for closest to? And we were like, it's closest to Narnia in terms of like young kids stumble into like a world that they are like the rulers of. And then as far as what is the horror closest to, we were like, it's close. We're doing a lot of different types of horror in it, but we thought about Hereditary and how just brutally upsetting that movie is, and how almost flippant it can be when it comes to the violence.
That's right. Yeah, see, because I haven't seen it, and I was like, man, this is every time I get these scripts, I'm like, these guys are having me draw this really gross shit.
Oh, dude, yeah, the stuff that Bob is in like the thick of it right now in terms of how dark.
Today was very upsetting.
How dark and horrible does the book get? Bob probably drew one of the most upsetting images in the book, if not it gives a couple of other panels a run for its money in terms of the most upsetting thing in the book, and Bob colored it today. So yeah, that's where that came.
It literally made me like my stomach feel weird when I looked at it. It really did. I swear to God.
And we know it's coming, so that's
exactly. That's pretty effective.
Bob, how to follow up on that? How do you kind of de-stress to like get away from the sick, gnarly stuff that these guys have you drawing?
I have a crippling video game addiction, and that's just how I do it.
Okay, perfect.
That's
video
fair.
games are both the problem and the solution to most life.
to most problems, yes.
But the dark twist on never-ending story thing and the Narnia meets Hereditary. It's like those are emblematic of what we're doing, which is going as far as we can in one direction, as far as we can in the other. where it's like it's as
You know-
fun and silly as possible, but in the next moment it's as frightening and upsetting as possible because it's just peanut butter and jelly, man. Each one makes the other more appealing.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I
it's like peanut butter and a turd though. Like that's
Exactly. Delicious.
it's peanut butter and like poison, jelly made of poison berries.
You can put it on a
it's-
sandwich, but you probably shouldn't eat it. So
that is in no way us saying don't buy the book. Please read the book. Please buy the book.
my advice to you. Go ahead,
Go
Griffin.
ahead, Danny. I was just gonna say I haven't seen Neverending Story, Ryan Michael, so I cannot comment on that. Sorry, people.
You're
But I see
you're
some.
gonna hear about that on the Discord for sure.
Probably. I've seen bits of it, but I also see some people down here saying that they haven't seen Hereditary. Yes, I would highly recommend Hereditary.
Absolutely.
That's
2018, I think. Ari Aster,
movie.
A24. He also did Midsummer, which you might have heard of. He also did Beau's Afraid, which came out just a couple months ago, starring Joaquin Phoenix. You might have heard of that one too.
I also
I
would
love
recommend
his
Never-Ending
stuff.
Story, but I haven't seen it since I was very small,
That's
so
true.
it could suck. I have no idea.
I will say,
born in 1980 here. I don't know anybody my age that isn't traumatized by that movie. So.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Isn't there like a bit, spoilers maybe for the Neverending Story, a movie I haven't seen, isn't there like a bit where like the horse thing gets
there's a thing with the
trapped
horse.
in like
the horse
in, like,
slowly
tar?
dies in a mud pit. Yes, it's
Oh no.
It's
no.
awful.
all right. So maybe our book is just the never-ending story.
Yeah.
We might
Yeah,
have a
maybe.
dark twist.
Yeah, now that you say that.
Yeah.
So Bob, I have another art question because I think
Okay.
I was going to recommend to Ryan Michael maybe do a review, write that in your review, and maybe they can use that as a pull quote for the trade. That's how you get those out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to bring up another piece of art because
Okay.
I'm so interested into how the crayon illustrations come about.
how they come about, huh?
Like how, because obviously you have to channel your inner child, I would say, to kind of get those done. Like,
Yeah.
because this isn't the only one. I'll say that after reading the first issue. But how did these come about?
I am an idiot baby and just I never let go of my childhood or whatever. I don't know. Like I'll tell you, there's a certain amount of joy that comes with doing those panels because it's like when you're sitting here like laboring over a pose and like really struggling with like how are you going to frame this thing, when they go crayon drawing, you just go awesome, and you can just kind of just kick it out, and it's not like super stressful, right? So yeah, you just kind of, you go back to that part of yourself that was like 3 years old once and like wanted to draw a picture or whatever. You just kind of like how would I have done it when I was a tiny baby? So that's it.
To give you a bit more credit than that, that is a big part of that first issue is these crayon drawings that have some spookiness to them, and that was something that before we had fully, gotten into the collaboration, it was still early on. We were a bit on pins and needles of like, are these crayon drawings going to hit the way that we want them to? Are they going to be kind of frightening in the right way? Because they have to look like a kid could do them, but they also have to look like a little fucked, a little bit off. And no, Bob just nailed it. Like he like they look exactly how they looked in our heads, if not better. So even the simplest things, Bob's killing it.
I appreciate that. No, what I would say is just as far as like executing those for the book, it became very much about both sort of relaying the imagery as a child would draw it, but then also giving it the context of the world that it's sitting in. And I think, like when you actually, okay, we're not just going to draw a kid's drawing, but like, okay, it's a kid's drawing, but it's also in a spooky room and the lights coming in and it's raining outside. When you start thinking about all that other stuff and you start putting that context on top of the crayon drawing, suddenly you go, oh, it's spookier. Because like in a lot of cases, if you just look at the original crayon drawing, it's like a little spooky. And then they get progressively spookier. But but when you start, when the lighting is kind of moody and like you're implying something sinister, maybe there's a goblin around the corner. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, right? Like
the lighting is that. Yeah,
don't spoil them about the goblin around the corner, Bob. What are you doing?
That was in the preview pages.
I can't. That was almost the other title of the book, Goblin Around the Corner.
Goblin Around the Corner.
Yeah, dude.
Pretty good. That's the spin-off series.
Yeah.
we workshopped
That was why
one for a while.
Donnie Cates had to give us a different title. He was like, you can't just say there's a goblin around the corner.
You can't just
in
say
the
things
title.
in places,
That's not-
guys. You have to make it a little more specific.
Yeah.
But that's the whole, like, that's why you keep coming back, because each issue there isn't a goblin around the corner. So you're like, okay, maybe the next one is when the goblin will come around
The corner is the next issue. Where's that goddamn goblin?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Next, I want to ask, what did you guys tell Ryan Stegman to do that he turned this in? What was the instruction here? How much, like, did you guys give Ryan a script? Because holy shit.
No, I mean, look, you don't give Ryan Stegman very much direction. He read the first issue and he said, "This is what it is," and it's incredible.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have him on board to do these for us, and so if that's the case, it's like, okay, Ryan, what do you want to draw? He read the issue and he was like, how about something like this? And we were like, yeah, sure, yeah, yes. And then as we've gone on, the second one he's like, I kind of want to draw this character. So we dropped this earlier today as well.
I love that this is out there. This is
this is the art for Stegman's variant for issue 2, which, by the way, Stegman's doing all the pencils and inks and the layouts, of course, and Bob is coloring all of them. And so for me, I love that so much because that's also why we have Bob doing the main covers, is because, well, one, because we love Bob's art, but also we're like, well, we want the covers to be indicative of what's inside. Ethan and I aren't huge fans when you have a completely different artist doing the covers for a book. And so I love that Bob's coloring Ryan stuff, because it then still keeps it, even though Bob and Ryan have very different styles, it keeps it in the same world and tone and feeling.
The tone feels kind of the same, like the mood of the art. So great. I also appreciate you guys doing that, because I hate looking at a beautiful cover, and not that the interior art doesn't look beautiful, it just looks completely different.
It's different.
To what it was sold to me.
Yeah, totally. And as we're talking about with Bob's coloring, like, the lighting is everything. Like, especially on that issue 1 variant, it's like that the pencils were super spooky, but then once Bob gets in there with the lighting, it's like, holy fuck, that's intense. It's good shit.
No, it's been really interesting for me though too, because I've never colored anybody but me. So this is like my first attempt at like trying to take somebody else's, drawings and then interpret them in some way with color, which is it's been a new experience, but it's been a lot of fun. And if you're gonna start doing it with Ryan Stegman. It's not
no shit.
It's a great way to do it.
Yeah, and you both went off on both of them. And two's cover is just like, when Ryan turned in his layout for the second cover, he was like, I want to draw this character, and we talked about an idea for him to do with this character that's on the cover that Danny will know because he's read issue 1, but people who have only seen like the previews and the marketing or whatever won't know who that is just yet.
It's the goblin around the corner.
It is the goblin around the corner. But he turned that one in after we talked about a different idea with that character, and we were just like, he's like, I don't know, I wanted to do like a Frank Miller thing, and we were like, okay,
sure, yeah.
Okay, so that was definitely. I'm glad somebody in the Discord mentioned that when we were talking about this, and like, you definitely feel like, oh, okay, okay. Ryan Stegman's channeling his inner Miller, which is.
I love dropping that cover with no context for people, because it's just like, what the fuck is that
going on here?
Yeah, because it doesn't even have, like, you put this out on the internet, it doesn't even have the title of you guys' book. Like, it's just like
I know.
It's just like, it's just cool. Like, it just looks cool.
Good.
Yeah, there will be trade dress.
Yeah, there will be, and it's got some. We got some other variants, like some retailer incentives and stuff that are coming. That are also some really cool homages. Lots of cool styles coming in, touching the book.
Well, speaking of that, you can check the links in the description, which you can find the previews page for this, so you can tell your retailer how to pre-order issue number 1 and issue 2. Add it to your pool. And then also you can there's a link to the KLC Substack, which you can also see all the stuff, all these previews that I'm pulling up, they're from there. So you're getting a little freebie from me. You're welcome.
KLC Press sees everything first, usually.
Absolutely.
So
for sure. Which is which is very lucky for me that all these things kind of dropped today when we plan. Unless you guys planned it that way, in that case, I appreciate it.
We did.
Great.
Like we always post on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we were like, well, we can plug our other KLC press title, The Schlub. Final order cutoff is Monday, so we wanted to get that on people's radar as soon as we could, and so we plugged that on Tuesday. Go pre-order The Schlub, co-written by Kenny Porter and Ryan Stegman, pencils and inks by Tyrell Cannon, colors by Mike Spicer, letters designed by our own John J. Hill. It's great. And then we were like, okay, the other post this week is the issue 2 previews. Let's put it out on Thursday. It'll be perfect timing. We can talk about it with Danny, share it with the people.
Now, Bob, back to you, because we do have Aiden, who's an inspiring comic artist.
All right.
He was at Heroes Con, and he got some portfolio reviews and got some feedback from a lot of artists, including Daniel Warren Johnson, Trad Moore. So you might have heard of some of these other people, but
I heard of those guys.
Other than being awesome at it, like being talented, do you have any other tips for aspiring artists?
Yes. I have a bunch of tips and tricks. Let me try to break them down as quickly and succinctly as possible, so it doesn't just become me talking about art crap. First things first, make sure that you're drawing every day. Regardless of what even if it's a quick sketch, just find time no matter what to be drawing something. And then I saw this thing. I'm gonna disagree with one of the greats here. So I recently saw something with Todd McFarlane talking about, like, hey, you don't know how to draw something, just cover it up with stuff. And I actually got really, really angry at that, because that's the exact opposite of the way that I was taught to draw things. So like I came up from like a very comic strip background and stuff like that. And one of my favorite guys ever to do the job was Mort Drucker from Mad Magazine. And one of the things that he said in an interview once was, when you find that you're not good at drawing something, sit down with your notebook and then just draw that thing, and find all the weaknesses in your art and draw that weakness until it becomes a strength. And then find the next thing that you're bad at and then draw that thing until it becomes a strength. So it's like, hey man, I really suck at drawing hands. Fill 10 pages of a notebook with hands. I really struggle at drawing cars. Great. You can Google car pictures all over the place. Draw cars for 10 pages. And eventually you're going to find that, like, the shape language of those things starts to make more sense to you. You can just kind of start figuring out how they work really, really quickly. And then you're going to be in a way better spot than anybody else, because, you know, all those people are going to be hiding stuff, and you'll just be able to put it all right out in front of everybody. Last thing, and probably the most important thing I would tell you, is that it's really cool to do covers. And it's really cool to do pinups, and everybody loves the thing where the big hand is coming out and Superman's flying over the city. But if, when the pages come in from panel to panel to panel, I can't tell what's going on, you're totally hosed. You need to work so hard on your storytelling to make sure that panel to panel, the reader can understand what's happening, and the story is clear. Because like, one of the things that, you know, I don't know that I'm the flashiest artist on earth, but I think one of the things that I probably do excel at, if I were to give myself any actual praise, is clarity of storytelling. Like, I try to be as clear as possible about what is happening from panel to panel, and keeping things as consistent as possible. So so at no point does a reader go, wait, what the heck? Just where are they now? Like, as soon as that happens, I've taken you out of the book. I've taken you out of the story. And that's not where I want, that's not where I want you to be as a reader.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are my high level tips. If you want to get micro, I'm available on all of your favorite social media websites. Feel free to ask me any question you have at any point. My DMs are always open, assuming that they still work in whatever.
Yeah, any social media that is working currently.
Yeah, no, but I'm not kidding about that. Like, if you actually do have a question, I'm happy to answer any questions you have offline. Great. So we're not boring all these poor people who came here to hear about this book.
Well, Aiden's doing it.
Good.
So great.
I love it.
I love it.
Ryan Michael calls it, the evolve on the fly, turn your weakness into strength, the doomsday art method. So just don't kill Superman, please. Don't kill Superman. Well, I mean, I guess you could. People like that. I have another question, and this kind of popped up like as I was reading the first issue. I saw that there's some names and special things, and I just wanted to ask about one of them.
Yeah.
How did Charles Soule get in? Like, what? I mean, I know he's a friend of KLC, and like he's one of my favorite writers, and I love reading his stuff. But how did Charles Soule make it into the special thanks?
Charles Soule is in the special thanks because he was formerly a lawyer, and we asked him a couple of questions about the contract for the book.
It's
I was
hilarious.
thinking, like no lie,
I love
I
that
was
you
like,
forced us to it.
I bet it's a lawyer thing. Like I just bet it's kind of a lawyer.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the people in the special thanks have all touched the book in some way, and his was a very logistical one, which we were very grateful for.
Yeah.
There's some great names here. Whenever the book is out, like you guys can see, there's a lot of very talented people. There's some names I don't recognize, but I'm sure you guys have a great reason like that to put them on here. So, but this is great. I mean, I guess you don't always see a special thanks section, which I think is really cool that you guys did that.
Appreciate it.
Well, I think we're so excited, obviously, to be.
We're just special, and we love to thank people. I think that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, and when it came down to making the book, and it just felt weird not to at least tip our hats to like
you guys borrow her so you could see it. He loaned you the Blu-ray.
We love Charles's work though as well. So so it's great to have
pin down one of his 10 books and go read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I do want to start winding down. So if there's any last questions that you guys want to ask in the chat, please feel free to drop them in. But to you guys, like what are your next few weeks looking like? What can the people that are watching do to like help you guys out with this? Like tell me a little bit about this part of. I think getting a book created is obviously very difficult.
Of course,
releasing a book and then the stuff that comes with that, it's probably no picnic either. So please tell us a little bit about what are your next few weeks looking like.
Yeah, we're in a very daunting time period for us. We're in the grind. The FOC is quickly approaching. We're over the next few weeks. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to start blasting out promotionally. We've got a lot of wonderful pull quotes from a lot of wonderful creators that have really enjoyed the book. Our FOC is on August 13th. So leading up to that, we're going to be trying to push the book as much as we can. And if anybody doesn't understand this yet, the whole industry is still propped up on ordering, specifically pre-ordering books from your shops. Like that is where it's at, and that is how you support creators. That's how you support books that you love. Digital's great, but it doesn't make nearly as much of an impact. And stuff like Amazon and all of that stuff doesn't make as much of an impact. If you really want to show the support for the stuff and the people that you like, you got to pre-order from shops, and that includes the digital outlets for those shops. If there's like a digital outlet for a retailer that has a brick and mortar location, like a Midtown Comics or like a Third Eye or anything like that, that's all great. If you get your pre-orders in through a shop by walking in and saying, I want to add Kill Your Darlings to my pull list, or you pre-order it online through their shop, that's how you support the book. That's the most that you can help us. Absolutely. You can spread the word too. That's great as well. But we definitely need everybody getting their pre-orders in before August 13th. And so that is where our head will be at over the next few weeks, is making sure everybody possible knows that.
Yeah. So when you're pre-order like 10 of them, and then give them to a bunch of your friends, and then tell all of your friends to order like 10 of them as well.
That is up on the first couple issues, so you can hand them out at Halloween. Really freak those kids out.
Oh yeah. Hey, it's spooky time of year. Get ready. Honestly.
And also for you foil fanatics, you want those shops to be ordering a bunch of stuff for you, because we got our foil variants set at that 1 in 25 and 1 in 50 ratios, and let me tell you, they're going to look very shiny. They're going to look very pretty. I'm very excited to see those.
Absolutely.
So check those out. And yes, be prepared. We're going to be in your timelines and your feeds, I think, quite a bit in the next couple of weeks.
And then Ryan Michael here saying, Previews World can send your order to local shop. Just to make sure everybody knows, this is through Lunar.
It is through Lunar.
Yeah. So it's a little different.
Issue 1, you might still be able to order through Diamond.
You can still order it through Diamond. It's a little unclear going forward what image stuff is going to still be available through Diamond. The whole series could be, but it's not clear yet. Yeah,
But-
definitely go to Lunar first. But yeah,
But
please
for
get
the
your
most
pre-orders
part, your
in.
shop should know how to get a hold of this
Yeah.
book. If not, you can always
You'd
reach
think.
out to anybody, the creators. Like,
Mhm.
how do we get this in our shop? Like, like I'm sure they can help. But because of course, comics isn't it. It's already a struggling medium, but they want to make it even more difficult to even get your books.
It's crazy how like it's like self handicapping itself sometimes with
Yeah.
like just these weird little like walls
But
that
more
are just so
hurdles,
unnecessary. Yeah.
Hmm.
I just
So I
want
don't
to
know.
read 32 pages of a book. I don't, but we do it because we love it, not so much because we know that it's easy.
Mhm.
So, all right. Once again, if there's any last questions in the chat, please make sure to put them out there. I do want to ask, what are you guys? Are you guys reading anything outside of like the stuff that you're doing? What do you guys recommend to the viewers out there? Whether it's comics, manga, like just any graphic medium like this. I think
Mhm.
it's very important that people just kind of expand their horizons outside of. I love the big two, but there's
Mhm.
so much good stuff out there too, just like from every direction, including a book like this.
I agree. My reading habits are so terrible right now. We're talking about the marketing of the book and what we're going to be doing here, and we work so many jobs already, and there's everything we do for KLC and Jinx World and Ideas Don't Bleed, and then there's actually writing the book, and now marketing the book has pretty much been a full-time job in and of itself, it feels like. So I don't have much time to read these days, and my reading habits were already pretty bad, where I would not read anything for like a month, and then I would like binge a few things in one night. um I really appreciate pointing people to indie stuff. However, we chatted about this answer on a show last night, and I recently read Philip Kennedy Johnson's The Incredible Hulk #1, and I really liked it. So I'm gonna have to say that. But yes, please read independent works as well.
I mean, this is probably a basic answer because everybody's aware of it, but I really like Void Rivals so far. I mean, I was so excited for a new Kirkman thing in general, and it being his own sci-fi thing that is new is really exciting to me. And the Transformers incorporation was crazy, and that's really cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing everything that happens there. But I'm more excited about the original stuff that Kirkman's doing in that space.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And as far as like stuff coming up, Kelly Thompson, the new book, The Cull, I'm really excited for that. That looks so unique and special. And I think their FOC is coming up as
I
well.
think it's coming up too, yeah, because I just
Yeah.
got it in my folder last week, if I'm not mistaken, from Image. So
Right.
yeah, they usually send
Yeah,
that when it's close.
definitely order that as well because I think that's going to be sweet. I know that Kelly and the whole team's been working hard on that one.
If we're talking about just more independent stuff, the most recent thing that I read was Autumn Lands. So if you're like I said, I'm a big Ben Dewey fan. So if you like him drawing animals, casting spells, let me tell you, you couldn't spend your money anywhere better.
I mean,
okay,
incredible.
Yeah,
That's very cool, very cool, and that does sound like a whole lot of fun for comics too. So
can confirm.
All right. Once again, first of all, I want to shout out John J. Hill. Like,
Oh yeah,
he's such a big part of this, and I had some questions, but I feel like there might be spoilers, so I won't. Maybe we'll connect again eventually when more of this book is out.
Sure.
Let's do
so
a
maybe
post show for issue 1 for sure.
we should do like a Talking Dead style of like after.
That'd be fun.
I'm sure
yeah.
you guys are planning on that. Look, if you need a host,
right,
I'm available.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Do you know a guy or?
and I can I'm very good at running StreamYards as well, so you guys don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, definitely.
I know
But
you are.
all right, Bob, do you have anything to plug? Anything else you're working on? Any other books that people can go check out?
I mean, other than all the things that I'm sure Knights of X is out in trade form right now.
I think so. I think recently, yeah.
I think it's been announced that Alligator Loki is actually going to be getting a trade format,
print,
which is really cool. And I've actually seen. So if you guys know anything about those, there's those big like infinite scroll vertical comics that they do on Marvel Unlimited, and they've actually sent through the broken down pages that like the Marvel like design bullpen did, and like they turned that mess into like totally coherent comic book pages, and I could not believe that they did it. So they actually translate really, really cool and did some neat stuff. So if you haven't had a chance to read it on Marvel Unlimited, please pick up the trade. That would be amazing. It's a lot of fun.
How different is it doing a book on that unlimited infinite format or whatever, like the scrolling up?
It's a completely different animal. It's really it's a really fascinating exercise in storytelling, because so much of like standard comic book storytelling has to do with like how you're guiding the eye through the page. And usually they're going to tell you to kind of do like the S thing so that your eye will kind of like go through the thing the right way. But like they just keep going, and it's about like the pacing is so different. Like just to give an example, like if the first Alligator Loki strip that I did, I drew the whole thing and then actually loaded it onto my phone and tried scrolling through it, and I was like, this experience is terrible. Like it's really, really, really awful. And then I ended up going to like Webtoon or whatever and just scrolling through what all the kids that are doing their forever mangas or whatever were doing. And I was like, oh, I get it now, and completely repaced the whole thing. And then suddenly it started to feel good, right? So like the way you incorporate the design of like when you use a background, when you don't use a background, when you use like transition through gradients, like if you give a panel just one full screen or more than a screen, or if you all that stuff kind of becomes a new way of thinking about the medium. It's a lot of fun. It's so much work though. I can tell you this, it is way more work. It's way more work than I'm paid for by that company. So, but to be fair, I really do love doing it, and they're always a lot of fun to draw. So.
Okay, that's very interesting that you mentioned how different they are, because this week I picked up my Hellfire Gala event of the season, but when I redeemed my digital code, they gave me an Infinite Comics version of the same book, and I started scrolling through it, and I was like, I'm not reading it like this, because I usually prefer to read digital. It's just easier, and then I can get screenshots and stuff for the reviews.
Yeah.
But then I started reading and I was like, no, there's no way I'm not getting through 76 pages of a comic like this, because it would have probably taken me too long. So then I went back to read the physical book, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, like I don't want to shit on whoever translated over, but I don't think it was the intended format, so it's difficult to
my suspicion is they did the book first and then broke it into an infinite
scroll.
Some
of those, they'll do that with some of the older books. They'll take them and sort of post translate them. Sometimes
it's cool, sometimes it's not. Like I think Alligator Loki is actually like a really good example of what you should be doing it with it, because they're not too long, right? Like they're kind of bite sized. You can scroll through them real quick. There's no reading. Like there's no like other than Wham and Bappo or whatever, like there you don't really have to read anything. It's just hijinks nonstop. Yeah. If you want to put words in it, you can, but you don't need them.
Oh, dude, we're gonna load the next issue of Kill Your Darlings with Bappo. I can't wait to find
I can't wait to
Bappo.
see. Yeah, I can't wait to see John J. Hill putting it in there.
Yeah.
A lot of these. So, well, since you bring that up, I want to like, are some of all this dialogue from the cave? That's John, right? Like this stuff, or like these words. Is this all John?
Yeah, I mean the lettering is
you didn't because I know sometimes when there's big letters, sometimes the artist maybe incorporates them into the drawing itself. But okay,
no,
which is great.
I don't do that.
I love the churn. I love the color scheme change in the word bubbles. Like
definitely,
it really makes
does a lot. He does a lot of cool stuff with that moving forward,
especially with this colors. Like yellow's I don't think I've seen much yellow used in like speech, which worries me for the future of the book. But it's a very interesting, right? You normally see like red or maybe even like a purple or just the inversion of black and white. But okay, really, really cool. All right, Ethan, Griffin, do you guys have anything else to plug? I know that you want to say to tell the people that are watching.
It's all Kill Your Darlings all the time for us, man.
Yep, this is literally the single most important thing that we've ever done. And please go pre-order the book. Pre-order issue 1, pre-order issue 2. Stick with us. You know it's going to be like a certain number of issues. So might as well just stick around for the whole ride and see how it pans out. I say, hop into a shop, in which support local comic shops anyway. And while you're in there pre-ordering the book, pick up something dope as well. And go subscribe over at klcpress.com. We are going to be talking about Kill Your Darlings, and we've mentioned no comment. The Schlub already is coming out in August. So Kill Your Darlings and the Schlub will be coming out right next to each other. So we'll have so much to talk about over on there. You can support independent comics directly by subscribing to klcpress.com. So if you like our stuff or Stegman's stuff or Kenny Porter or Tyrell Cannon, go and subscribe over there. We're going to chat about all of it, and we would love to have you guys with us.
Yeah. KLC is a really fun place, not just like as a community, but also the stuff you guys are doing with getting some of these books out that are a little different. They're a little weird. Like the Schlub feels so different from Vanish, feels so different from this.
Totally.
So it's really cool. Also, you can pick up both trades of Vanish already. They're out. If you guys haven't read that, check it out.
They are.
Yeah, please do get those pre-orders, and we're absolutely working our very hardest to try to make something that'll make everybody happy. And we would love to just keep doing it. And if you pick up issue 1 and you're like, oh, I love this, that support will just mean that we will keep doing our best, and we will keep trying to make stuff that you enjoy. So definitely, please do.
And if I have ever drawn a book or a strip that you liked in the past, please do pick it up, because I can say hands down this is the best work I've ever done in my career.
Absolutely.
I'm incredibly proud of it. I'm so happy every time a new script comes in to my inbox, because Ethan and Griffin have given me some new wild craziness to draw, and it's always a joy. So yeah. And
then you pay it right back with like imagery that they just can't handle.
It's true. No,
apparently.
dude. I mean, Bob is not lying. When issue 1 came in and he was like, "This is the best stuff of my career," we were like, "We agree."
Yep,
and then issue 2 started coming in, and we were like, "Oh my god, he's topping it." And then issue 3, 4, and however many more issues there might be, I should stop. Every time something comes in, he's outdone himself. So
I heard it here first. At least 4.
At least 4.
At least 4. Yes.
That's great. Well, thank you guys for stopping by. We should definitely
thank you for having us, man.
For sure.
Thanks, man.
Even better than Throg.
Can confirm better than Throg.
Throg is great.
Was pretty fucking good already. So
true.
If that says anything. But thank you guys for coming. I'm very excited to I'm working on a script for the video for the actual review when it comes out. It's very exciting to just do all that and go back and all the little details. I can't wait to talk more about it, because the Discord KLC people, we all love to just dissect the books and tear them apart. So we'll be asking you guys questions about why did you do this, or how did this happen? And,
I can't wait. That's gonna be fun.
I think the Discord's gonna have a field day with it when everybody gets to read it, because I think you guys will do a fair job of picking stuff apart, but I don't know if anybody really realizes just how much stuff is set up in issue 1. There's a lot.
Because this is literally draft 20 of this book, and so there has been so much just going back and seeding things and stuff. So I think you guys aren't ready for how much dissecting may actually be necessary.
Listen, like I said, if we're doing an after show, I think that'd be great to kind of to talk about it, pick it apart, look at our favorite moments, maybe look at some of the coolest thing that Bob's put on the page, like the panel of the week, something like that. So we'll see. But once again, thank you guys for coming into the show. I'm very excited. I'll drop all your links in the description after the video, so make sure to go check those out. Follow these guys on all social media. Go order the book. If you have questions about how to order the book, hit me up. I love telling people how to order. I love guiding people in their comic book journeys. We can definitely we'll make sure you pick up this book. So thanks everyone.
Absolutely.
We'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.